Hello, Wolfpack. We're going to be talking about the current Bitcoin correction and the bounce that's happening right now, right? A small little rally. I think that people do need to zoom out, okay? Because this rally is nothing. And that's kind of what I'm coming at from this video. This rally is nothing. We haven't taken over any critical resistance at all. In fact, we're still in a strong downwards trend. We haven't even made a higher high, okay? A higher high would come from a daily close above 50,500. Currently, we haven't done that. We've just closed, literally just then, daily candle at just above 50,000. So yes, we have taken over the $50,000 resistance, and that's great to see. But right now, not much progress at all has been made, and I think that generally from this video, I'm going to be speaking, for the most part about the bearish argument, because although the fear greed index says that people are in extreme fear right now, I seriously struggle to believe that most people are bearish in the market right now. I just don't believe it. Okay, I look at Twitter, I look at YouTube, I look at all this. I know that's personalized to me and what I'm listening to, but most people, from what it seems, are either hoping out of desperation or think we're going to see a rally to new all-time highs. I'm really not seeing all of the bearish sentiment that people are talking about at all, and I think that when we see a further rally, which is going to happen, I think we're going to rally further, right? To at least 53k, okay? When we see a further rally, I think that that's really going to shine through, where more people are going to flip bullish, sorry, and then the fear greed index might actually reset, and then we could actually see a further drop, because we've got a long way to go to all-time highs. 68k is what 38% away on Bitcoin. So it's a long way to go. It's a substantial way upwards. And I think that this correction was definitely an overcorrection. Okay, even not counting the wick, right? We still corrected 32%. Like, you could say that's a normal correction. I guess you could say it is, right? We corrected 32% back here, okay? But we corrected from much lower prices, right? The market cap was much lower. Now, much more selling occurred to get that, sizable correction. With diminishing returns, that shouldn't really be happening to that extent. Regardless of that, that's not why I'm bearish. Okay, I'm bearish because of multiple reasons. One of the reasons being we've dropped below critical support on multiple occasions. Okay, if we're looking at this line, I'm going to highlight it here so you guys can get a better view. This yellow line here, that was our critical support uptrend. Okay, when we dropped below that, people turned into log scale and tried to make it a little bit higher or lower or whatever, and that's kind of a pattern I'm seeing with the bulls right now. Is some a lot of the charts aren't actually looking good even now. All right, and they're kind of scalping the barrel a little bit, or scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to see a bullish chart. And I can see a bullish scenario, okay, but I've already drawn out a bullish scenario here. This is the bullish scenario for me, right? We had this yellow descending wedge on both, the September drops and also this drop, and we've just closed a daily candle with the upside. Last time we did that, we rallied massively, okay? That is the bullish scenario, but also we could take into account that, hey, maybe it isn't the wedge that we need to break. All right, let's delete the wedge. Maybe it is the downtrending resistance line, in which case we would need to break significantly higher, right? We had a downtrending resistance line here in September, and breaking that, yes, we broke it at around, what, all the way up here at 53k, but we went to 68k after. Maybe that's for line we need to break, right? Maybe even, this one here, maybe even this line we need to break, which is another resistance line that we need to be breaking, I think that the wedge theory that I've been seeing from people like Tech Dev, like Jesse Olsen, I can't remember his name correctly, I think that's it. Those kind of permabulls that are on Twitter, I think that they're very circumstantial, and I don't think they take into account the quantity of bearish charts that we're seeing right now, okay? I'm just looking at it from perspective of technical analysis. Okay, I understand that there is a decent probability of a rally. I understand that completely. But in my opinion, I'm just looking at what's happening here, and I'm saying that it's not necessarily significantly more likely that we see a downtrend. What I'm saying is that buying right now will give you a terrible risk-reward ratio. That's all I care about. I don't care about, the probability. I care about the risk-reward ratio. All right. It's like, if I have 10% chance of making $1 million, but only lose $1, it's less likely to happen, but the risk-reward ratio is great. So you're going to take that trade. It's like the bearish argument right now. It's like, I think it's probably 50-50, but I think what you stand to gain versus what you stand to lose makes it so obviously, so obvious that the bearish argument is the better argument to take right now. You understand what I mean? And I can definitely see that, if I'm wrong, people are going to, completely forget what I'm saying now and just say I'm wrong. But, that's what it is. We can never win as crypto YouTubers and crypto Twitter accounts. There's no winning. But regardless, the bullish argument right now would be what I just said, right? We broke out the wedge in the RSI. We have, I wouldn't say it's a bullish divergence. It isn't really a bullish divergence yet, but it was close to a bullish divergence. And we also do have a larger bullish divergence, right, where the trend is upwards as per this yellow line, right, between bottoms, or this white line I just drew, and then the RSI is moving downwards. It's called a hidden bullish divergence, okay? So we are seeing that, and all of this, in my opinion, and we're also on basically the brink of a bullish MACD cross, okay? We just need one more daily candle to be green. So all of this, in my opinion, is evidence that we will see a bounce, right? But I don't think it's evidence that we will go to new all-time highs. I think it's a strong, potential for a bounce here. And I've actually called this bounce, by the way, right? I said at 47K, I said, this in my words, quote unquote, we have an 80% chance of bouncing at 47K and a 20% chance of bouncing at 42. Okay, we've bounced at 47 as per the 80% that I said. And so, we're already pulling some decent profit right now. But, obviously it's very, very high risk to stay in the market, in my opinion. But, setting a top stop loss and trading that, we'll be able to pull some decent profit. And if we just keep going upwards, well, look, we've already bought in back at 47K. So we're already in a decent position. We're just waiting for the rejection to sell. What I'm looking for right now in Bitcoin is actually coming up and retesting this uptrending level of support, this yellow line, potentially even this white line, which I'm going to make yellow as well, actually, just to show you guys which one I'm talking about, because there's a lot of lines here, right? So this one as well, this yellow lines, these two yellow lines are very critical for Bitcoin right now, in my personal opinion. But every line I've drawn on the screen is very critical, right? One of them is acting as support, we've got three of them acting as resistance. Okay, we tested this, these two yellow lines before, rejected off of it, and we headed downwards from around 52K all the way to 46K, right? So if we see a rejection again, no doubt are we going to go lower than 46K, okay? We'll probably come all the way down here and scoop the lows at 43, 42. Right, that'll be my prediction, or at least test this downtrending level of support here, right, and come down through around 44. So it's critical that we break through here. And the reason why, and I'm going to tell you now, in the short term, 53K is actually the critical resistance level, right? As well as, I'm going to make this one white so I can show you one, which one I'm talking about, as well as this yellow uptrending line, which is actually sitting at 53K right now, right above 53K. The reason why 53K is so important to me is mainly because of the VVPR, right? The volume profile. And the volume profile is showing a crevice, right? And what happens typically in the volume profile is when you see a crevice, it means that that is basically a place of indecision. You're between support and between resistance, between the mountains, right? The way I see the VVPR, if you're below a mountain, which you would be at 53K, running uphill is much, much harder. And then when you get to the top, running downhill is very, very easy, right? So you see fast price action when you're heading down, and slow price action and struggling when you're heading upwards. So 53K would put us right in the center of that, between support and between resistance. And so moving upwards from 53K will prove to be very, very challenging, not only because of the VVPR, but because of the fact that we have that uptrending level of support. We have the top of, I'll highlight this line just so you can see it, this line as well that is heading downwards, right? So we have two major support lines, and we have the VVPR showing us that there's massive selling pressure in that region at 53K. Right, as well as that, and on top of that, we have also at 53K currently the 100-day SMA and also the 26-day SMA that's moving downwards towards us. All right, if we remove that, we can see that also in that same region, we're seeing the bull market support band lurking. Okay, so currently, at this current time, the 20-week SMA is currently at 52.9K, and the 21-week EMA is at 52K. So there's clearly a lot of resistance in that region, and I wouldn't even consider being bullish until we flip 53K. I wouldn't even consider it, all right? Because seriously, what we've seen now from 46K to 50K is basically the same as nothing happening, right? Nothing has happened in terms of taking back critical resistance at all. Literally nothing has happened here. And I think that this is the trap people get into when they don't know technical analysis, because they see Bitcoin moving from 46K to 50K, which is almost 10%, all right? And they think that's great. That's a side of a recovery. They look at the MACD, but they don't actually look at these critical lines that we're drawing on a macro scale. They don't look at the bull market support band, which is basically the most critical support and resistance line, or MA or SMA, in technical analysis, right? It's just a base case. Even if you're bullish in the market, even if you want to be bullish in the market, you really shouldn't be buying massively until we flip 53K, or better yet, until we flip the uptrending level of support, which is slightly above 53K. And by flip, I mean a daily candle above, preferably a weekly candle, to be honest, but a daily candle will probably do for most people, okay? You know, on the Bollinger Bands, we're seeing that we've been riding the downside for about a month and a bit, so we are due for, you know, a rally here. And I like, personally, what I'm thinking, right? What I'm actually thinking here is the rally will... You know, just one more thing before I say anything there. Another bullish thing you could say about the chart that I've just noticed is that we have descending volume. Descending volume in a downwards trend is typically a sign that the selling pressure is diminishing, right? And it's basically signifying a transition from the bearish control to the bullish control. All right, but all of this, in my opinion, doesn't resemble anything, right? It resembles that we'll see a bounce, right? And we've said that since 47k. We've said we'll see a bounce at 47k. We've moved up 3.5k in that time, right? And I think that this bounce, no different to what I said before, will not reach all-time highs. I think that the most this bounce could reach is 58k. I'll draw 58k on the chart and I'll show you why. All right, 58k is the most I think this bounce can reach, and that would be here, okay? I don't think we're moving above 58k. You can see 58k or around that region. You could even say 60k, to be honest, is an area of massive resistance that we've been facing in multiple occasions. We faced it here, and we faced it throughout the entire of 2021. To move above not only 53k, not only that uptrend level support, but also 58k would be, you know, quite a feat for Bitcoin, and that would definitely prove that the market is very strong. As I've said before, my buyback zone, let's move this line up, is at 61k. Once we break 61k, not only we are breaking everything I just labeled, right? We're breaking this whole downtrend, and we're breaking all of this region, and we're heading up to new all-time highs from 61k. That would be my full confirmation of a bull market continuation at 61k. My first step, though, and the most important step to take would be 53k, and this uptrending level of support. We need to take that badly. Let's head over to the weekly chart and see what's going on in the weekly chart. All right, we can see on the weekly chart here, kind of the same kind of picture, okay? You know, what I will say about the weekly chart is we saw a doji candle, which suggests that, you know, the current trend is coming to an end. The downwards trend is coming to an end. That's obviously in line with what I've been saying, okay? I still think we're going to be seeing a bounce here, and so that doji candle does make sense. We have seen a bearish MACD cross, and we will need to be seeing some very, very bullish price action in order to flip that back to being bullish, right? Obviously, a bearish MACD cross does give us the potential in the future to move back bullish, and hence come in for a nice cross here, but we would be needing to see price action above 53k, or even higher, maybe even 61, like I've said, to see that bullish MACD cross. And so right now, that's not really of my utmost concern at all. Let's bring up what I wanted to talk about in this video, and that is the Bollinger Bands. And we'll remove the bull market support band here, and we'll remove the VVR. And I want to talk about as well, what am I looking at here? The 50 and the 200 day week SMA, sorry, because these are very critical. Let's make these a little bit more clear so you guys can see them properly. I'll make it a bit more red, and the green one I'll turn into a bit of a brighter green here. Okay, so we've gone over this before. Let's delete this for a second, and let's just look at the Bollinger Bands. Okay, let's remove all the technical analysis. Look at the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Bands tell us that we are compressing, right? Usually when you see a compression on the Bollinger Bands, it means that a big move is coming, whether it be up or down. In my opinion, it's probably going to be up, all right? And I you know, as I've said, it's probably going to be up, but I don't think it's going to take us to all-time highs. You know, the compression is a sign that something is on the way, all right? Every time before a move up here on Bitcoin, we've seen compression, right? Look here, we've had compression here, just as one example, okay? But it happens every time, essentially. You know, with obviously the exception of a few times. But even here in September, what did we see before the September rally? We started to see this Bollinger Band compress, and then obviously it led to an explosion, because once the price range compresses, the price has less room to move into, and then eventually it's going to, you know, the battle between the bulls and the bears is going to end in a decisive result. And that's just the simplest way to describe it. Now, the reason why I think this is going to be to the upside is because every time we come down and we actually retest this red line here, which is the 50-week SMA, we do bounce off of it, even in a dead cat bounce scenario, okay? So you can see here in a dead cat bounce scenario in 2017, we came down and we actually bounced off of that briefly, and then, you know, not briefly, it lasted, you know, 1 or 2 months, and then we came down, and then we saw a slow continuation to the 200-week SMA, which we ultimately bottomed out on. Okay, same thing happened here within the Coven crash, right? We came up, we saw a dead cat bounce off the 50-week, and then we crashed down and we bottomed out on the 200, okay? You know, same thing would happen here. You know, in speculation, we bounce off the 50-week, we come down and we bottom out on the 200, okay? You know, within about a year from now. If I went further back, I could show you, we're just on the Coinbase chart right now, but on the index, it shows that the same thing happened in 2013, right? Literally identical. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm not particularly bullish right now. Not because I think this is very, very, very likely, but because I think it's definitely a strong possibility. Okay, we've never tested it this late in the cycle before, and testing it just after making new all-time highs is definitely a warning sign. Okay, and so why would I be bullish right now unless we actually get a continuation, a confirmation of an upwards trend like we would have at 61k? I'm not just going to flip that bullish when I can see a pretty clear pattern between the 50-week and the 200-week in which we dead cat bounce off the 50-week and then we slowly go down to the 200-week. It's just not worth it, right? What am I standing to gain here? In comparison to what I'm standing to lose? Well, I'm standing to lose quite a lot. If the bear market does come, and we do see a bear market, you're standing to lose 90 to 95% of your entire portfolio. All right, you don't want to be doing that for getting a 20% gain early. I'd rather buy back at 61k for 20% higher than risking losing 90 to 95% of my portfolio, not only from a financial standpoint, but also from an emotional standpoint. The amount of stress you'd have to go through in that scenario for a year of constant downwards trending, constantly looking at the chart while watching your net worth deplete. It is not worth it, in my opinion. If it's worth it to you, that's your personal decision. If you don't have much money in the market, that's your personal decision. You need to do what you want. From my personal perspective, which is what this channel is about, because I'm speaking for myself here, my opinions, it is not worth it. All right, so that's what I'm looking at, guys. Essentially, just going back I'll just go back all the way and we'll get back to these trend lines here. And we'll go back to the daily chart. Okay. What I'm seeing right now is that the first actual step in order to make any resemblance of progress on Bitcoin is to flip this uptrending level of support and 53k. Once we do that, we can talk about the bullish scenario being slightly more likely. Okay. Until that point, no progress has been made from any fundamental perspective at all. And we're just kind of doing what we've been doing, and we're just ranging. All right. So let's try and see some action here. I think it's going to be happening but before the end of the year. I think we're going to be making a decision before the end of the year. So we've got 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I think a decision will be made by that point. Whether that be from the top of a dead cat bounce, right? Whether that be from the top of a dead cat bounce, or whether that be from a rejection and continuation of a downwards trend. I think that by the end of the year, by New Year's, we will have made a clear decision, and we will be, a bit more decisive about what's going to be happening moving forward in the market. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.